Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about a modern way of cleansing the energy of your home or just about any other space really. Hello, this is Berto and this is my channel where I share my journey as a shaman practitioner. And today we're going to talk about a modern approach to an ancient shamanic practice of removing the negative energy from your home using a very simple tool that was created using alchemy. Let's get into it. First off, if you're new in this channel or in modern shamanism in general, you might want to check our previous video where we discussed the traditional method of cleansing the energy of your home or your space so that you can heal, relax, or even meditate if you want to. But since we know that some of you might be too busy to check those out, here's a quick recap of the traditional way of cleansing, assuming you are already at the point where you need to clean your space. Basically, you need to set an intention to clear your space. Then you need to gather a few ingredients, and in our tradition, we use primarily white sage to cover the area we wish to cleanse while keeping the intention while clearing the area. You may also use a burner to burn the sage, and if you are advanced enough, you might use the same burner to actually amplify the effect of your cleansing. Lastly, ensure that you open the window of the space to let the air carry the negative energies that is being cleansed from your space. So that's a very quick recap of the traditional way of smudging space. This way is actually very useful when you have big windows and if you are closer to nature. And honestly, if you're like me who just likes the smell of burning grass. I like doing this once in a while because it reminds me of what my mom used to do to cleanse the energy of our house back in my home in the Philippines. It really just reminds me of home, which adds this very positive energy in my space. Also, it would be helpful to know how to spot whether or not your space needs to be cleansed. We can probably do a whole new video on this one, but you might want to do some basic sensing of your space first. You should try to examine a few factors when you are in your space. Things like, does your space feel good to stay in? Does it make you feel happy, motivated, active? Do you get a lot of things done in your space? Can you relax in your space? Do you sleep better in your bedroom? Or does your place feel tired, draining, uncomfortable? Or does your space make you feel anxious? And maybe, do you have trouble sleeping inside it? Does it make other people comfortable? Do they stay long or do they try to leave as soon as they come? Also, if you have animals or babies around you, they're actually the best detector of negativity. You may want to observe if they look happy or on the other hand, do they look tired? Do they look anxious? Or do they feel sleepy when you're inside your space? And of course, if you just move into a new house, you might really want to cleanse it. Think of this house as like an intimate piece of underwear. No matter how good it looks, you probably don't want to wear one that belongs to another person. Yes, we said that. But needless to say, if you move to a new house, please cleanse your space. You don't know what kind of energy lies in there, and even if you say that the previous owner have a very good energy or vibe, just by the fact that it's not your energy, it might actually end up doing more harm than good to you. Normally, if that energy is not compatible with who you are as a person or it's not compatible with what you plan to do with the space, then most likely it will end up not giving you a very good boost or not helping with what you really plan to do. Now, as you can imagine, for modern people like me who left our hometowns, or in Singapore we call it our kampongs, and we started working in the big city, like right now I am talking to you guys from Singapore, and in which case smudging the traditional way might be a problem. Yeah, I still remember when I was living in my old condo, I needed to stop some of my ceremonies and healing session because in the middle of me burning the incense and offering to the gods, the smoke alarmed and it would sound off and it will cause panic into my space, which is like really bad for your ceremony. Also, like here in Singapore, if the smoke alarm reaches the fire station, you could actually get fined for causing a false alarm. Lucky for me, this was also the time when my shaman teacher discovered this new way of cleansing the energy of the space, and it's more appropriate for modern shaman practitioners like us. We have another story of how we discovered this method, but maybe we'll save that for another video. Now let's get into this new way of cleansing that he invented. Basically, this is using what we call a water elemental cleansing. The difference between this method and the traditional way of smudging is that it taps into the properties of holy and charged energetic water that is collected in a very special way. And it combines that water with the plant essences like white desert sage that you still use traditionally. And this creates a combination of like a boosted potion that is packed in this very nice nifty bottle that looks like a perfume that you can carry around with you when you're doing different activities like maybe a ceremony outdoor or even normal activities like one of my favorites, traveling. This process uses another ancient practice of creating potions called alchemy. And today we are going to show the different ways on how we use it. The simplest and the most powerful way of using this is really to just use it as it is. You can spray it directly from the bottle. And normally I use this method. I would just spray it around myself in a counterclockwise direction 6 times. Remember, similar to the traditional method, you have to keep your intention of cleansing yourself while you're doing this. And if it's a small area like a desk or a plate or crystal, you can just directly spray the bottle directly into the crystal like this. Now, after you finish that, you must wait for around 2 minutes for the magic of the cleansing to take effect, and then you're done. This is the most direct and most powerful way to really use the spray. It's very useful if you want something quick and you want something powerful. And if you are setting up for a longer ceremony and you want to get all of your materials cleansed and energized in a jiffy. And it's also very useful for purposes like healing and meditation because of the power of the cleansing that you get. And that only happens when you are using the concentrated form of this spray. However, I wouldn't recommend this method for everyday cleansing. You know, your house does not really need such a very strong and concentrated power of cleansing every day. You just really need to deal with the everyday accumulation of negative energy in your space. Unless something major happened, in which case, go ahead, use the concentrated form of this spray. Plus, I really don't want you to waste such precious resource and energy for a simpler purpose. It's like using a sledgehammer to drive a small nail in the wall. Well, you get the picture, right? Okay, so if that's the case, then we're really left with one option, which is to dilute this solution so you can use it more economically for everyday purposes. Now, we've experimented with this spray for quite a bit in our tribe, and we figured out that the nicest proportion of dilution is to really take 10 ml of this spray and dilute it in 1 liter of water. Now, it's much better, of course, if you use distilled water, and we have a video for distilled water and why it's more useful for you. But basically, if you combine it with this potion, the energy that is transferred from the potion will become much better because the transfer is much purer. And when you are using this dilution, it's easier to use this solution for other devices, which we will discuss later. Now, this diluted cleansing water is very useful for many things. Number one, you can use this to soak energetic items. And when I say energetic items, this could be items that you can use for healing, like crystals, or if you have a wand that you use for your magical purposes, you can also soak it in this solution. Just make sure that when you do that, you leave it for a while because it's diluted, so the action is a little bit slower. And for best result, I would suggest just soak it overnight. But when you do that, right, just make sure that when you do that, the crystal that you are soaking will not disappear in water. Now, I can tell you more about that later, but for now, just do a little bit of research to find out which crystal will disappear if you leave them in water for too long. These are crystals like selenite, for example, or some versions of celestite that you don't really want to leave in the water for very long. Number 2, you can also use this water as a cleaning solution, and you can put this solution in a pail of water, and using a cloth or a rag, wipe down all surface area that you want to cleanse the energy. This is useful, for example, if you want to prepare an altar, or you just want to have a very nice energy in your desk, or if you're really up for a challenge, you can wipe down your whole house if you want to. That also works, although that's very tiring, guys. Number 3, you can also put this in a spray bottle. It's similar to the spray bottle that you use to water plants, and you can easily buy that online. And the idea is when you put it in a spray bottle like this, you can take a quick bath, or you can spray any area in your house that you want to cleanse. I personally would use this to clean my toilet. Now, toilet and washrooms are very tricky because this is where negative energy accumulates very fast. Because when you take a bath, naturally a lot of negative energy gets removed from you. And if you don't know how to clean that negative energy, it actually just stays in your toilet. Now, you probably have seen a toilet, or maybe even your toilet will always feel very musty or very constrict. It just doesn't feel right. And all the while, we think it's because we did not ventilate the place enough. Actually, you might want to check out the energy of your toilet if that's the case. So this solution is very useful when having a quick bruise of cleanse. You can think of it as an energetic bath, and it's very useful for very advanced practitioner like me who does healing, or even when we're running a energetic event or a shamanic ceremony. This is the time where we might not have enough time to actually clean up the energy of the space or the participant that comes into our event. In this situation, we always bring a bottle of this spray, and we use it to just do a very quick cleanse of the whole space. And it's also very useful when you actually have a big tribal gathering in an enclosed indoor space, because sometimes you rent the venue and you can't just burn sage and everything, because the smell of whatever you burn will go into the carpet, will go into the curtain, etc., etc. If you use this way, it will just keep the smell of the space neutral. And actually, we have a specific solution that we use for ceremony, but we can discuss that on another video. Number 4, and this is perhaps my favorite way of using the solution, and that is to load this diluted water in a humidifier. I like this method a lot because it can reach every part of my space or my house, and if I leave this humidifier long enough, it can really go even on those very hard to reach places in my house. Now, of course, that depends on the power of your humidifier or the setting of your humidifier. So check out how long your humidifier can last so that you are very sure that when you use the humidifier, it can really cover the space that you are cleansing for. And as an added bonus, this method actually creates a cleansing bubble around you. Now, it's very important to actually be inside that cleansing bubble, especially if you're trying to concentrate or you really just want to relax and just have a nice space to sleep, for example. I also use this cleansing method whenever I move to a new house, and I would actually use a whole bottle of cleanse spray, and I will leave the cleanse spray overnight to make sure that all the remaining energy from a previous tenant of the house that I live in will be taken away. And of course, there are other sprays that I use, but again, I'll just discuss that to you guys on another day. every day. But needless to say, this is one of the most basic steps that I use whenever I want to cleanse the energy of my new house. Now, one caveat to this method is that it's actually a very slow method. But what I like about it is that it's very thorough, especially if you do it correctly. But it's really worth trying, guys, as it creates a very nice temporary space for you to do a lot of energetic and even normal activities like maybe studying or doing office work or relaxing for that matter. But just like what we always say in this channel, don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself and let us know in the comments below on how it works out for you. And speaking of which, please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more information on how we use modern shamanism in our everyday life. And now I guess all that's left is for us to address here, how do you get hold of this spray? Well, I would like to invite you to go to my tribe's Facebook page called Shaman Nights. I'll be posting an event there where you can give yourself a chance to try this spray out for yourself for free. And we'll also be there in the event so that in case you have any questions about the sprays or in modern shamanism in general, we'll be there to answer all of your questions. You will find this event pinned on our Facebook wall. And if you have problems finding us or the event in Facebook, please leave a comment below and my team will help you locate us. And that's all, folks. I'll be releasing more videos like this in the future, so please let me know if you have questions or if you have any comments or suggestions for our future videos. See you around. Bye!